Are getting the first taste of Washington and the newfound power, frankly, that goes with it. Right now, those freshmen are getting their bearings, learning how to vote, figuring out where to live. The class of 2010 got to town on a wave of change, but could it all come crashing down when they try to get things done? Joining me now, two people who know a little bit about getting things done here, Congressman Schock and former Speaker of the House, Dennis Hastert. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. You know what it's like to be a new kid on the block. And the question a lot of people have, because there are so many new members of Congress, will they change Washington? Is that what the voters wanted? Or will Washington change them? Power can be very intoxicating. What would you say to the new members of Congress who are here?
Well, I think it's exciting that we have 90 members coming out of 435. It's nearly a quarter of the Congress. There's no question that even the new Democrats and Republicans are going to bring a different flavor, a different perspective on the world than the members who they've replaced. But the realities of Washington, D.C. and the United States Congress is things tend to move slowly. And so I think one of the realities they're going to be dealing with is while they've been elected on a theme of change, even the president has seen it takes a little bit longer than even most of us would like to see. So there may be some frustration that sets in when they realize that they can't do it overnight.
Mr. Speaker, you were here in '94 when there was a similar change, although the economy was a little bit different then. And a lot of people are making comparisons. Are there comparisons to be made? Alan West of Florida said, we're not going to get 10 years. We have to turn this around in 2 years. Is he right?
Well, first
Speaking
of all,
to that anxiousness that they're going to feel.
It takes some time to turn things around, but you can start to set the trend. And in '94, we did set a different trend. When we came into power, we did the contract with America. We passed it. 3/4 of it was signed by a Democrat president. So we did really start to make some changes. And I think you can do that, but you have to do it step by step by step.
Is it a more polarized Washington, though, now than it was then?
First of all, you have, in the Republican side of the aisle, you have a majority. You can do a lot of things with a majority. You can set, and all the spending and all the taxation comes out of the House of Representatives, so you can begin to set that tone. But I would have another a caution to give to the new freshmen on both sides of the aisle. The same thing I told Aaron Schock when he came to Congress. Make sure you spend some time at home and get to know your members and what people at home are talking about, and so you don't lose touch with that Main Street America.
Well, let me ask you about Main Street America and what message you think they sent. And let's talk about tax cuts, because that's roiling here so much, and the idea of one side compromising, both sides compromising. Do you think both sides have to compromise on the issue of tax cuts?
Well, I think if we're going to do something before January, the Democrats still control the House and the Senate, and the president is still a Democratic president. Now, the reality is 38 House Democrats of this current Congress, before we adjourned to the election cycle, 38 House Democrats came out and said, you know what, Speaker Pelosi, we disagree with you. We're going to vote with Speaker Boehner and the Republicans, or John Boehner and the Republicans, on a full extension at the current rates. So at the current ratio of the House, you only need 40 House Democrats to flip on Speaker Pelosi for Republicans to win.
But do you see that happening?
Well, there's 38 House Democrats who've already spoken on the issue. So I think the president has lost on the narrative of taxing the rich, if you will, and I think the public has spoken in this last election. And getting back to what Speaker Hastert mentioned, absolutely, if there's one thing that was mentioned in this last cycle was Washington, D.C. is not listening. Washington, D.C. is broken. And so if anything in this next Congress, I hope we spend a little bit more time back in our district, a little bit more time listening to our constituents, and less roughshod, arrogant power out here in Washington, D.C.
You know, in Politico, they quoted Tennessee Representative Van Hillary. I thought this was great to this point. He likened the lure of Washington to a retaining wall against the ocean. And here's what he said. It's just going to keep hitting you, and no matter how strong you are, it'll wear you down. How does a new member of Congress keep from getting worn down? Getting frustrated?
My advice is go back home. Just keep your family at home. Keep your roots there. And, for me, going back home, even when I was Speaker, for a couple days or a day, kind of refurbish you. You got your roots back. You talk to your friends. You went down to the corner coffee shop and talked to real people. You went to the farm table at the corner restaurant down at the crossroads. And you got to know what people were really thinking. You went to the grocery store. My kids didn't want to go to Walmart with me because they knew it took 2 hours to get a half a gallon of milk and a loaf of bread, because people came up and talked to you, and you had that type of relationship. I think you need to build that. I think one other thing that members have to, when you're talking about this tax issue, when you go back home, 75 to 80% of new job creation starts with small business. And if you start cutting the ability for people that make $250,000 a year, which are small businesses, the mom and pop stores, the limo service, the barber shop.
Maybe $1 million?
What?
The Chuck Schumer proposal, move it up to $1 million?
Well, there's ways to negotiate, and I think there's going to have to be some kind of compromise. But to cut people earning $250,000 is pretty tough.
All right, Mr. Speaker, Congressman, thanks to both of you. I know you got a busy day, so we appreciate you coming over. Fair Game, a new movie that chronicles the CIA leaks